Thank you so much for taking a few moments here this afternoon to join us for a special conversation that we need to have as a congregation. For the sake of clarity, I'm just going to read some stuff that I've put down. As 2020 started, I had a very distinct plan how to approach this year. I had established a series of goals to be addressed by our church. The elders knew this plan. It included a plan to reach a certain level of financial stability and some foundational developments for our church in the areas of biblical knowledge and prayer and the ability to effectively communicate our faith to those around us, and a focus on an expanded role of leadership for our local elders. In the midst of all of this, Lori and I were looking ahead to this July, next week, back in January, because we knew that our apartment lease was going to conclude at the end of June. In the midst of all of this, we were planning to buy a home. In fact, I had spent a Sunday morning, the second week of January, in between our prayer time in the morning and the beginning of people's arrival for church, scrolling through Zillow looking at homes in the area. I also preached a message on January 5th of this year from Genesis about the creation of times and seasons and the God-ordained reality of seasons in our world and in our own lives. At the conclusion of that sermon on January 5th, two people from our congregation came up to me and said, "I thought your sermon was leading to your resignation. I thought you had prepared that message to prepare us for you to resign." Another person came to me the very next week and said to me, "Pastor, you better not resign because I'm just now starting to like you." Well, we had no plan. I laughed at those comments because I was energized with a renewed sense of purpose and direction for us as a church, even to the point ready to put deep roots by the purchasing of a home. And then something happened on Tuesday, January 21st at 10:20 a.m. I know the exact time because it was a text message. And that text message plunged me and my family into significant amounts of chaos. One of my primary academic mentors, going back to college, very unexpectedly texted me. Dr. Doug Oss was my hermeneutics professor, my professor that taught me how to study the scriptures more deeply. He also was the director of the PhD program when I enrolled in the program at Evangel University. His text message simply said this: "Bob, would you be interested in being my successor? I will be retiring this spring from teaching." Well, I knew that I would likely at some point teach, preferably on the graduate level. I was not planning for it to be now. Dr. Oss placed my name in with his recommendation to be considered for the position he was vacating. After the search committee's lengthy process and work, they asked me to be their candidate to fulfill his role in our seminary. On May 20th, the Evangel University faculty and administration asked me to serve as an associate professor of biblical exposition. I will be teaching exegesis, which is the process of biblical study, and preaching. I will also be serving as the director of the Cordis Burnett Center for Biblical Preaching, which tasks me with developing a broad national and international approach to raising the level of biblical literacy, studies, and preaching abilities in our fellowship. I am humbled and overwhelmed by this assignment, and I believe that it is what God has prepared me to do for the remainder of my life in vocational ministry. This is a profoundly difficult moment for me and Lori and our family. We were not planning for this transition at this time. We love this church. We believe in the future of Southwest Community Church. You are our church. You are our friends. You are our family. But we serve at the pleasure of our Savior. And He has made clear to me and in my heart that as difficult as this moment is, it is His plan for us. I am announcing my resignation today because Evangel University intends to issue a press release tomorrow promoting our appointment at the seminary. My responsibilities as lead pastor at Southwest Community Church will continue until August 16th. The elders have already begun the task of planning for this season of transition as the Lord directs this great church to its next leader. I will not be involved in that process. Please do not ask me for details about the process. They will be handling it in its entirety. They are godly and skilled leaders who will give exemplary leadership, in whom I have complete confidence as they give direction through this transitional phase. If you ask me concerning the process or for any inside details, my response will be immediate and formulary. Quote, I don't know anything. You should ask the elders that question. We love you. And this is a very difficult moment for all of us. Please do not pull back from Southwest Community Church, but press in during this season. Welcome the leader God has already been preparing for this moment when they arrive here. Love them and serve with them in the same way that you have with us. And I know that the future of this church will be glorious. Our lives are in His hands, and we trust that He is in control of all of our futures. Thank you for taking a few moments and letting me share my heart with you. We look forward to the days ahead together.